The horrors of emergency rooms in America's worst cities. Let's get into it.
I want to let this kid die yet, and it looks like he's dead.
Jeez.
One of my last nights as trauma chief.
How long did it take you?
It was the most difficult thing of my life.
Wow.
When the human body is getting shot and stabbed every day. This is how you learn to have ice in your veins. And then you pick a place to go and do surgery. And I wanted to go to the best place that was the most hardcore place. And that was this place in Baltimore called Johns Hopkins. And because one of the things that made Johns Hopkins so great, and to this day, is both the combination of having the high volume of surgeons who do really complicated operations, in this case, operating on the liver and the pancreas for cancer. And at the same time, it's in a really, really rough inner city area, so you get a lot of trauma. And as perhaps grotesque as it sounds, it's really important for surgeons to train in trauma areas because you learn so much about how to fix the human body when the human body is getting shot and stabbed every day. And at a place like Hopkins, I think at the time I was there, it averaged 16 penetrating traumas a day.
Wow.
So if you now think about that, I'm on call every third night for trauma.
Wow.
So now think about how many stab wounds and gunshot wounds you're taking care of. You're really, you know, this is how you learn to have ice in your veins, and you're unemotional about it. It's like
16 people a day that are getting shot and stabbed in Baltimore.
What's coming in? What do we need to
That is
do?
insane.
How do we stabilize this patient? Can we fix him? Let's go. And so again, you don't get that experience at all the hospitals, right? But people who, you know, will pick programs that really emphasize in that are going to go there. So I went there and really honestly just had a very special experience. I mean, really can't say anything negative about the place I was at, right? This wasn't like, I had amazing mentors there. The surgeons at Hopkins were legends. My co-residents were incredible. I mean, I'm sure it's like what you feel like being in the SEALs. Like you are with the best of the best. It's the best 1% of the best 1% that all came to this place, not because Baltimore's a pretty city, but because this is the best training we're going to do. And but I became really frustrated with the fact that I did not feel like I was moving the needle one bit. And I felt like everything I did was a day late and $1 short. And it just didn't matter. And that meant I felt like it didn't matter on the cancer side. Like you could do the most perfect operation on somebody to remove the cancer, but you didn't get every cell out because you couldn't. You know, they were still going to die 18 months later. And sometimes even on the trauma side, it would be really tragic. You would use 60 units of blood and operate for 8 hours to save somebody. And then the next month, the guy would be out there and get shot in the head.
Jeez.
You know, you would see this. You would see this from time to time where, so I just felt very frustrated. And I just thought the system didn't make sense to me. I was newly married at the time. My wife said incredibly wisely, she's like, look, we've only been married for a year. I've only known you for 4 years, but you don't strike me as a person who can live in this state. Meaning, only two things are sustainable. You either need to fix the system that we're in. So you have all these complaints and grievances about why the medical system isn't right. You should fix it, or you should leave it. But if you sit here and just keep bitching about it, your life is over. And, I spent the next 6 months thinking about what she said and then just decided to leave.
How long did it take you
Yeah, because you ain't gonna fix it.
to kind of cut your emotions off from all that trauma that
Not
you
by
were
yourself.
experiencing with your patients?
I mean, the actual trauma cases.
I'm talking about,
when someone comes in.
gunshot, stab. I mean,
Sometimes never. I had some pretty bad failures. I'll tell you this, one of my last nights as trauma chief. So I left on June 30th. The residency year runs July 1st to June 30th. So even though I decided to leave by March, I stuck around for the last 3 months. So I remember it was like April 14th, meaning I've got like 6 weeks left in all of my medical training at that point in time. And I was the trauma chief that night for pediatric trauma. And we get a call. It's early in the evening. It's like 7 o'clock at night. MVA, motor vehicle accident. But no vital signs in one of the two. So it's two. I don't know anything other than it's two kids driving, and one of them seems totally fine. One of them's got no vitals. The one that's got no vitals is coming to my trauma bay. So I go down, and this boy comes in, and he's got, maybe I convince myself he's got a pulse. He's got a thready pulse. And now, so we run a code on him. We can't get him back. I get an X-ray. I see that his aorta is a bit wide. You know, you're running through your mind, what's going on here? What's going on? Why do I not have vital signs in this kid, right? Is this head trauma? His pupils are a little bit big, so that means there's probably something wrong with the head. His aorta is a bit wide, though. That means he could have torn the aorta. So when you have blunt trauma, when you have massive deceleration, and in the case of this car, they had the right of way going through an intersection, and some idiot T-boned them. So massive deceleration can shear the aorta, so he could be literally bleeding into his aorta. So I have to make a decision. Do I open this guy's chest to try to figure out what's going on? Which, by the way, is not the answer. But like I don't want to let this kid die yet, and it looks like he's dead. So I keep running the code. We keep pumping more epinephrine into him. We keep doing everything, and everybody's kind of like, it's my job to call the code to say time of death, call it over, and I just can't bring myself to do it. I'm like, no, we got to keep going. I'm just feeling this overwhelming sense of sadness. And we finally call the code. And it's very unusual. Normally you walk out as quickly as possible because they have to get the body out, because you have to make room for the next trauma to come in. You don't know when the next one's coming in. So you can't have too much time with a body just sitting there. So they have to cover the body up, get it out, clean the floor off. And there's a mess everywhere. We've put 1 million central lines in him at this point. There's needles, blood everywhere. And I remember leaving the trauma bay and going into the stairwell and just completely breaking down, which was very unusual, right? Normally you just don't even think about it. But I was absolutely, I couldn't put myself together. And then the nurse came and said, hey, can you go talk to the mom? And I was like,
shit.
Yeah. So now the mom and all the relatives are in a room. They only know that turns out I realized these are two brothers. The victim, who was in the passenger seat, is 14. The brother was 17. He's fine, by the way. He doesn't have a scratch on him. And the mom just knows your boys were in a car accident. And I go and tell her what's going on. And I mean, it was the most difficult thing of my life. I still remember, when you're wearing scrubs, they have a little pocket on them. She grabbed onto me and tore the pocket off the scrubs. I'd never had somebody do that. And I probably spent 2 hours with them that night. And I was very fortunate that nothing else came in that night. Like, I had the time to sort of be there. And I'm not sure why. I don't know what it was. His name was Malcolm. I don't know what it was about Malcolm's case that devastated me. I also went to his funeral 5 days later, which I'd never gone to the funeral of a trauma patient before. I'd been to the funerals of patients, but never a trauma patient, because you don't usually have a connection to trauma patients, right?
5 days later, they buried them that fast?
You don't know them. They come in and they die. You don't know them. But I got to know a lot about Malcolm's life. And at the funeral,
no matter where you're watching Sean Ryan Show.
Man, that was an interesting story. I'm not gonna lie. Make sure y'all like this video. That was very interesting, man. Appreciate y'all for watching. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and we'll catch y'all in the next one. I'm gone.